How are we? Welcome, 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 welcome. A very special international break episode of the Cultras podcast with me, Fiona Taser, James Allen over there in his work shirt. And most importantly, the reason you're here, our esteemed guest this evening, Andrew Toros of Zorya, Londonsk fame. Andrew, how are we?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, since the old Barclaysman hype, and I've been following you way before that as well.
Oh,
Pleasure
yeah,
to come on
you're a
here, and
true day
thanks for the
one.
invite.
Nice, a true day one. A good pal of ours. I was thinking the first of all for the in case people were unaware, because I always thought it was a superb title for a Twitter account and everything you do, because it's Zorya Luhansk and then but changed to London. So yeah. I was just thought I'd remark on the ingenuity of that. But so as well, we usually go for this is usually Barclaysman heavy, but we're on the international. But I've got me two yellow and blue t-shirts, so shirts that have nothing to do with Ukraine. But
Well,
uh,
funnily enough, we are playing Georgia, so
oh yeah, there we go. There we go. But yeah, so I was for the first. I was going to ask you, Andrew, the first play you sort of fell in love with as a sort of a Ukraine. It doesn't have to have played in the Barclays, but like a Ukrainian Barclaysman that you remember from being a kid. Who was the first one?
well, in all honesty, it's probably Andrew Voronin, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Utter crap on his day. The iconic ponytail, and yeah, just really kind of I don't know, giving Ukrainians a bad name. Well, obviously before that, Sheva was playing in the Prem when he had just passed it. But that took the biscuit. To be honest, there was those interviews I remember hearing or reading about. A bit too young, but in hindsight, where his wife was saying how she hated Liverpool and the North, and how everyone how everyone was really ugly, and I was like, bloody hell, calm down.
I mean, she's
And
not
yeah,
wrong, but
and and that's just it. It's just those misses and all that kind of thing. I can't remember. It might have been a friendly before Euro 2012. Ukraine were playing somewhere in like the Alps or something, and Voronin literally missed this like an open goal from 1 yard out. And for whatever reason, I always looked at his international record, almost identically matches the kind of caps to goal ratio as Emil Heskey did for England. So I
oh
just call
really?
him the Ukrainian Heskey. But yeah,
That's
He
it.
27 appearances, 5 goals for Liverpool. As a Liverpool fan, yeah, sorry. I was yeah, he was I don't know, but a very tricky player to get behind. Considering he
I
had
don't blame you.
32 goals in 92 caps for Leverkusen before he joined. I do remember him on loan at Fortuna Dusseldorf as well. My my I don't know if you could class him as a he's too good, I think, to be a what we call this Ukrainesman.
Are you yeah,
Yeah,
Ukraine's man, yeah. Kiev's
yeah.
Kiev, yeah.
But he genuinely is one of my favorite players. Timoshuk.
Oh, I was
Oh
gonna
no.
say. He's a proper a World Cup 2006 man. Yeah.
He
Yeah,
really is, but now persona non grata. Right? Persona non grata. He's even had his caps and removed and sort of whatever it's called cancelled because he's still living in Russia.
Oh.
He's loving it over there, so he's seen as a complete total traitor.
can I just say
But
I've always hated him.
but yeah, so he has. Funny is that he's probably he seems to be like one of the more out there patriotic Ukrainian footballers. Like always wore face paint on his face, like Ukrainian colours and all that kind of thing. And then he turned out to be the biggest snake of them all. So yeah,
It's a bit Russell Brandy, that, isn't it? Not accusing Timashuk of any sex crimes, of course, but
I've heard rumours that potentially, maybe not crimes, but there is compromat on him, so that's possibly why he's ended up over there. But you never know.
I went to watch. Trying to bring the topic back to Voronin. Just reminded me. I went to watch.
Handbrake turn.
I remember playing with Bayern Munich on PES, and Tim Mishuk was always in midfield for me. When I was at the Euro,
midfield for me as well. Bloody, yeah, disappointing.
When I was at the Euros this year, I went to watch Romania against Ukraine, and
it was a good game that as well.
It was amazing. Well, if you were Romanian, however. But I strike two for Alan here. Sorry, Andrew. I was in amongst both. I had sort of like you Romanian fans.
How is the application for Russian citizenship going?
I had Romanian fans to the right of me and Ukrainian fans to the left, and they asked where me and my friend were from. We said, "Oh, near Liverpool," and one of them replied, "Andrei Voronin, shit." I know it. Yes, no, yeah, he was. He was. He just with such force, like turned to me and went, "Shit." I couldn't agree more.
When I went to Ukraine in 2021, did the old classic, go to Chernobyl kind of stuff. I wanted to go to a few grounds, but the only ground I did get to was FC Pripyat on the tour around Chernobyl. Not the highest attended team in the world, but
not at all.
There's I think what's Odessa's team again?
Chernomorets,
I think, and then there's another one. I saw a couple of Chernomorets kits on my way around Odessa, but yeah, I was gutted I didn't get a kit because we went to Ukraine and Moldova at the same time. Ended up in the Sheriff Tiraspol. Ended up in the Sheriff Tiraspol club shop, which is inside a leisure centre, like inside a kid's swimming bath, and it stank of chlorine. I don't think I'll ever have that kind of club shop experience ever again. Of a Champions League club that's beaten Real Madrid at the Bernabeu.
Unreal.
But obviously, sorry, go on, James.
Oh, sorry, no, Theon, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, obviously, we're all used to growing up seeing sort of Shakhtar and the occasional appearance from Dinamo Kiev in the Champions League, but it was mainly Shakhtar. Dario Serna playing for there for 15 years.
Yes.
Yeah. So who is your team in Ukraine, Andrew?
To be honest, it always was Dynamo Kiev, just because that is being born in London, having Ukrainian parents and all that. Just this kind of default, especially if you were anywhere other than from.
Yeah.
Really, back, I don't know, when I was born 90s, early 2000s, it was Dynamo Kiev. They were kind of after Ukraine, they were kind of the team / club that everyone supported. And then if you're from the very east, you'd back Donetsk as your sort of locals. But yeah, I don't know. Literally over the past few years, since I've been doing like more Ukrainian football journalism and all that shit, when you sort of like just know behind the scenes, you just kind of not support anyone, to be honest.
Yeah.
As that sounds, but obviously follow them, back them whenever they're playing, in Europe and all that kind of thing. But I'd say that a team maybe slightly closer my heart nowadays, Karpaty Lviv from the very west. They've been around for ages, went bust, came back, all this kind of thing. And just whenever I'm in Lviv, which is one of my favorite cities in Ukraine, right near the border with Poland, always easy to go get down to a game there. Proper old school sort of Soviet bowl of a stadium.
No.
And good good vibes there in general. And there's a bar in Lviv called Cantonar Pub, obviously dedicated to United, but also the guy who owns it is like a massive Carpati fan / ultra. So he's always, good connections and good fun down there.
Yeah. It reminds me of the. I remember when I was getting into Gogol Bordello. That helped me. Well, I've got a tattoo there. When I got that when I was 17, don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Because they've got plenty of songs that mention cats. So I'll have Lviv as my team. But yeah, I think with the because Shakhtar always used to have full of Brazilians and like proper.
Yeah.
It was proper Gazprom sort of Champions League where it was like just like really really blatant corruption. Like why is the one team in Ukraine that's got 14 Brazilians and Dario Serna and
yeah, well, owned by the richest man still to this day. And yeah, those were the days, the early mid 2000s when they won the UEFA Cup and all that kind of thing. Fernandinho, Elano, obviously all time. Julius Agahoa.
Wow! Yes,
the old Wigan man.
Oh, what a definitional Barclaysman.
Absolutely. And they had someone else, but I think what club he played for. I think he might have ended up in the lower league in England, but it escapes me. It was just an African striker, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway,
there's
a. Oh, sorry.
Go on. I was going to. There's a mate of mine who's a City fan. He went to Shakhtar away in like 2019, because they seem to play each other every year. But whatever the first year was, he went, because he scanned his card at the wrong end of the ground. They wouldn't give him the points, which I thought is really really funny because he's gone all the way to Ukraine. And he didn't get the points.
Oh my god!
And they won't give it him. But now he scanned it the wrong place. So, well. Go on, James. Sorry.
I was going to say we'd be remiss not to talk about Dnipro reaching the Europa League final in 2015. Who I did look at a couple of months ago and realised they've gone into administration.
Yeah, they original Dnipro. They were called FC Dnipro. That's the team that got to the 2015 Europa League final. Then, literally about 2 seasons after that, the club went bust because the owner couldn't be asked to pay some debts to Barclays manager Wande Ramos. So he was debts there because he was managing them in the early 2010s, and some other ex-players. Billionaire owner couldn't be asked to pay 20 million or something. The club had 100 years of history, or maybe not that much, but very amount of time went under. And then Dnipro -1 or Dnipro -1, Dnipro 1 came out of nowhere with one of the world's shittest template clip art badges.
Yeah, it's a horrible badge, isn't
it? Took over. Well, they got the same training base, had a load of similar staff, had similar personnel from the top of the club and all that kind of thing. Legally, 100%, they were not associated with the former entity at all. And sort of hardcore Dnipro fans absolutely hated Dnipro 1. And then, Dnipro 1 went bust this summer. Because, it just had no purpose in terms of no fan base and all that kind of stuff. And, owner got bored. Off again, because the owner of FC Dnipro ended up being ghost owner Dnipro 1, of course. Ukrainian football still lurking with the strange schemes and slightly
Jesus
classic corruption stuff.
I remember there's what forgot it. Right, Mike, edit that out because I forgot what I was going to say. Carry on, Jim. No.
Their path as well. Like They beat Inter Milan in the group stage. Olympiacos, Ajax, Napoli in the semi-final. Like it's a proper sort of harking back to the glory days of European Cup runs. I completely forgot they had Nikola Kalinic up front for them as well.
Absolutely. Like they had some good players. I mean, Planka before
Oh yeah.
before the old Villa and Alka days and Divka. I think he played in the Prem, didn't he, or something? I can't remember. But they had and like what's his name? They had a Ghanaian guy that pretty sure was
it
well
Hansel?
known. No, not Pansel. It was Samuel Akoum. Regardless, great. That was one of the greatest. That was one of the greatest sort of big up sort of Ukrainian sides of the 40 years, but sadly, no longer with us.
Right. I remember Borough played on our route to it was either 04 or 06. Pretty sure it was 06. We played Dnipro in the groups and won. So the original Dnipro. So cheers for that. I was gonna ask you as well, Andrew, because it's got that's what went out my head 2 minutes ago that you won't have seen in the edit because we'll edit that out. But you were doing something this weekend, and I can't remember what it was, but it was very interesting. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the bit of football journalism, doing something. What was it?
Well, I was working at Brighton Spurs,
That's
so
the
I
one.
do a bit of the old. I work for the Ukrainian broadcaster Setanta Sports. Bit of old Barclays
that's a
heritage
proper
there as well.
Barclays broadcast.
There we go.
And they still operate in Georgia and Ukraine, funnily enough. And doing a bit of work for them, film like match day vlogs and things for Ukrainian audiences. Let them find out a bit more about random places like Brighton that no fucking clue what's going on back home. So giving them a bit of an interest in that. And then weeks ago was doing West Ham against Chelsea, bit of the old East versus West rivalry, which went to Old Upton Park, see what's going on around there. Pretty lifeless these days. Just they turned into.
Is it still a ground or is it like
well, it turned into obviously all that like Ironside and all that. Slight little hints, but if you went there, you can't really tell. It used to be it's not like Highbury where I think they've turned that into like they've still kept the facade
the building
of the old ground and all that kind of thing, whereas that's just sort of gone. But luckily it ended up getting to the Berlin ground before it went. Because one of my mates supports Peterborough, and we did Peterborough away back in the day, and Henry Lansbury took a shot, and it went over the bar and hit my mate straight in the face in the pre-match warm-up. So a very memorable. Well, that's the only thing I remember from that day. But yeah,
getting it in the face by Henry Lansbury.
Yeah,
Henry with an I as well. It was. He didn't. I don't think he played enough to be. He's definitely a Coca-Cola / Empowers one.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, my biological father was Henry with an I. Although he preferred to hit the bar rather than go over it.
Bit of trauma.
That's so are you a West Ham fan then? Sorry, as well.
My mate supported Posh. So I was in the away end that time.
Was that when Peterborough? Was that when West Ham were in the Championship? Must have been
the good old Darren Ferguson. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 7. Can't remember. Whenever he was manager for the millionth time. So club's Wealdstone. Good old Stones. So when I can, I end up going over there. Club, if you have to go for one, is Brentford. just
Oh,
because it's pretty local. Supported Chelsea as a kid, but I just didn't care that
yeah.
deeply about them. And it was only because of Sheva as
Yeah.
well. uh,
His, his son's playing now, isn't he, Shevchenko?
so
Who's he playing for in the youth? He's not playing, but Watford, is it? Yeah, it's Watford.
17, so still early
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. I just seen it. I remember seeing it a few weeks ago. Then Andrei Shevchenko's son is fucking where? Sorry. Watford, eh? He got left left in the services by his dad and he's just ended up at Watford.
No, him and those lotto boot. I think it was him, Seedorf, and someone else did a campaign for lotto during the mid, and it's one of the most quintessential mid-noughties football moments of my life. I begged my mum for a pair of lotto boots, and they did not.
Bloody hell.
I know, not a lot
Yes.
of kids can say that, can they, Andrew?
Yeah.
Not a lot of kids can say that.
Yeah.
Please, can I have some lotto stadios?
Only £5, yes.
Yeah.
Next to the Sondicos.
Oh yeah.
The thing I knew, and used to get skittered at all the time. Kids had been predators. Kids had been mercurial vapors. Alan rocks up in his lottos.
All
Oh,
black,
look.
proper Sean Dyche, fucking.
They really
You
are,
need business
honestly.
though. If someone rocks up in Deodoras or lottos at five-a-sides,
They're
they
probably
need
going to go
business.
through your knees as well.
Yeah, exactly. They were. I think I don't know if Shevchenko wore the zero gravity ones. They were like a slip-on. It was like the first attempt at doing a slip-on. I think Luca Toni wore them, maybe. Anyway, apologies. I've gone on a rant.
That's very autism. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's our spin off. That just players' boots from OOs.
Well, Andrew, we thought we could put your Ukrainian football knowledge to the test. There are 7 Ukrainians who have scored in the Premier League. Can you name them?
Oh, um, yeah. So obviously Sheva,
Yep.
Voronin,
Yep.
Zinchenko. I think he has scored.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mudryk.
he's cried. He's cried more than he's scored, but he's definitely scored.
Yep. You've got.
Mudryk's just about scored one.
Yeah.
5 or whatever.
Oh, you've had Mudryk as well. He said that as well.
Yeah, you've got Mudryk, Voronin, Zinchenko, and Sheva.
He scored last year for Bournemouth.
I'll add that there's 8.
Alex. So 3 more. We got Yarmo, of course.
Oh
yeah.
Who else?
I was always gutted. Yarmolenko never ended up playing for Borough because Parmelenko is right there.
That would have been class, genuinely, because one of my best mates is a Borough fan as well. So
Yeah.
that would have been awesome.
Parmelenko, come on.
And he deserved a stint in the Championship, in my opinion. He bloody deserved one. Like, I'd just been quintessential before going back to Dynamo Kiev or something like that.
Yeah, didn't he have a row on a? I think I saw it via you. He had a row about not being in the national team squad, and like he was kicking off on Instagram. Like, you're a 35-year-old man, Andre. Come on.
So just literally this past week, didn't get called up squad for like the first time in 15 years, having an injury. So just by being called up for not football purposes. And as a result of that, apparently Rebrov.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll get to it in a second. Rebrov didn't contact Yarmo. Tell him he's not getting called up. He heard up in the internet and stuff. Then when the actual squad came out, he was on the reserve list. And then Dynamo Kiev, their socials started posting like a photo of Yarmolenko with like Ukraine coloured hearts.
Mm.
and then he did a story saying best club in the world. So I assume that sort of had underlying sort of you bastard energy kind of thing. And then someone got injured, he actually ended up getting recalled to the team from the reserve list, and then he actually pulled out Sunday after picking up another injury. So
God.
he's not actually in it, but so after all of that,
Yeah, caused it.
what a load of
Caused a fucking row, and then not turned up.
Kill myself if I don't out who his head player is, and it's like
I'm trying to think of. I was thinking then before we'd gone through a bit of this list. I forgot Zinchenko existed. Forgot Zabani.
Mikolenko, of
Yeah,
course.
Mikolenko.
Yeah.
And that completes the 8.
Perfect.
How many Ukrainians have there been in total, James, that have played in the Premier League? Do you know? Can you see that on your computer?
10 or 11.
I will check that now. Whilst I'm looking, can you remember the first?
Oh,
yes. It's someone that no one probably has ever heard of knows. Alexander Yevtushok.
Yes.
For Coventry.
He
had 3 caps. He's had 3 games. I think he made his debut against United, had a terrible game, and he fucked off after 6 months back to Ukraine or something. It was like back then. But the next guy I think actually is before Barkley. I don't know if it was even Carling, but he's quintessential Oleg Luzhny, proper old-fashioned left back. Loved the dirty tackle, was pretty quick. But he's one of my favourite. He's one of my favourite sort of Ukrainian legends in inverted commas.
You've reminded me of one of my favourite players at the World Cup 06, Oleg Gusev, because he was
yes,
proper. That's a proper old-fashioned centre back, bang through anyone.
Yeah,
what a player.
And in that class, not to mention Lotto again, we're not sponsored, but one of the best kits of all time, which is the kind of
the triangle one with the things.
Yeah, one of the best shirts I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm looking now. Currently,
we've mentioned 10 there, so surely we're not far off.
Currently, there's 5 in the Prem, 2 in the Championship, 1 in League 2, and 2 in non-league. Yaremchuk as well. I forgot about him.
No. Nope.
Sorry, this is the problem now. I'm now going down a wormhole of just.
Yeah, I thought you'd frozen. I thought you'd frozen, James, just because.
Sorry, no, I was like, what's that film with Russell Crowe where he's looking at the computer screen?
I don't know, but whatever film it is, not a beautiful mind, is it? Doing all your maths on.
Yeah, it is that one actually. Do you reckon Artem? Excuse me, sorry. Artem Dovbyk might move to the Premier League one day.
Maybe. Obviously, Roma just been the Roma owners apparently buying Everton. So if it's up there, maybe he'll be in the Championship. So you know what I mean? That's the marriage we're all hoping for. Yeah,
because he scored against England, which already puts him in my good books. But I Ratem Dovbyk, that would have been funny. But yeah, so he likes. It was like the Girona's season last season. Nobody expected that, did they? And then just was he top goal scorer in that the La Liga last season? Was he? Yeah. So it's a big achievement that that must be the first time since Shevchenko that's happened for
Ukrainian. Yeah, and I think he's like the first Ukrainian player to score 20 goals or something in a top European league. So yeah, definitely got boots to fill, and also the first Ukrainian since Shevchenko to be nominated for Ballon d'Or.
No.
So, he's probably not going to win it. Let's not. Let's not. But that was still, I think, a shock to the system. And even got a good story about Artem Dovbyk actually. My mate, who I travelled to a lot of Ukraine home and away matches from, called Mike. He's from Bradford, and his son was born in November of last year, and he's actually named Artem
Oh,
after Artem Dovbyk. Yeah, and then like literally when he was born, he's in the hospital, and Mike's put his phone in the little cot thing in the hospital, and he's playing the Artem Dovbyk goal against Sweden with Titanic music, just as the just as the players, just as the kids, coming to terms with reality.
Get them indoctrinated young. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna ask you as well, Angel. Obviously, with the war and everything, how's that affected sort of other than your obvious Shakhtar Donetsk having to move, and all the other teams in the east having to move. How's that sort of affected the National League in? Because obviously it will have had a big knock-on effect with obviously the games and having to play behind closed doors and stuff like that.
Yeah, so when it all started sort of full scale in 2022, obviously football, the 21-22 season, that always pauses during winter for the winter break, just was avoided. Shakhtar were given the title because they were top of the league at the winter break, and that just sort of got them into the Champions League that year. But then, because of sort of progress with how the war went around sort of Kiev and the West, football returned. So the UPL actually started in the 22-23 season in August, and then we're now in the third season of the intra-war period, I would say. And since January of this year, fans are actually allowed back in stadiums. So not like obviously huge capacity of grounds, but you can have about 1,000 to 2,000 fans.
Sort of like a long COVID sort of.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same as that, really. Then there are sometimes the games get delayed because of air raids and that kind of thing. So the match just pauses. People end up having to leave all that kind of shit. But so far, touch wood and all that kind of thing.
Because am I right?
Matches haven't been directly affected.
Am I right in thinking? Is it Shakhtar playing the European games at Schalke's grounds?
Yeah, this season. So they're at the Alf Schalke Arena. Kiev this year playing at Hamburg. Like Ukrainian teams that did shit and didn't make it to the group stages, they were playing in places like Poland and elsewhere. And this international break, Ukraine's got 2 home games. They're going to be playing in Poznan and Wrocław in Poland. So just the new norm, really, for European fixtures for that. And for example, Dynamo Kiev, for them to get to Hamburg or Hoffenheim last week or a couple of weeks ago, it takes them 19 hours to get to Hamburg or Hoffenheim. So it's reality of the situation. So you end up getting there, you're already sort of tired as fuck, and then you get battered by bloody, Hoffenheim or Lazio.
Yeah, because they've done it in they've done the sort of Super League anyway, haven't they? Really? Because if you look at all the Champions League fixtures, it's all just extremely skewed. Just sort of City versus Ворskla Poltava stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to win this one.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it's literally Slovan Bratislava against Krivbas or someone like that, it's who's actually watching this other than the sort of 10 fans of each club?
the most egregious example I've seen was Brest versus Sturm Graz being a fucking Champions League game.
Yeah.
Woke nonsense of bullshit.
Ridiculous.
I was gonna as well just to the one that always a stat that sort of blew my mind when obviously when Shakhtar had to move in obviously 2014, but
Yeah.
they were playing but were they always playing in Kiev at that time or since then?
No, they played everywhere. So they played in
Yeah,
Kharkiv. I think when your mate probably went to see Watch City, it was in Kharkiv away, and then they played in Lviv before that, 2014, and then in Kiev since like COVID time. So everywhere, basically.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I remember because it's like Donetsk to where they when they were playing in Kiev, it's like 750 miles or something. It's the equivalent of Arsenal playing their own games at the Bernabeu, which is like
Yeah,
just how fucking big Ukraine is.
yeah, really fucking is. Did a road trip around Ukraine in 2021. Visited every ground of all the pro teams in Civic. Um, yeah, my mate is an expat. He used to live there, co-host of the podcast that I do. Yeah, did a drive around with him and met some very interesting characters, to say the least. And yeah, and then you fully realise how big of a fucking country it is because it took us 2 weeks to do that. So yeah.
You mentioned Cardiff. I remember Metalist Cardiff playing Newcastle United in the Europa League, and the year after the sort of Papis Cisse wonder goal, and there was a lad in my 2 years above me who was like he'd what we described as now as a Madri drinker, and he'd also
connoisseur of fine Spanish ales.
Yeah, and also kind of maybe I don't want to stereotype or cast aspersion on people, but kind of a sort of tote bag, fisherman beanie, football vibe.
Oh yeah.
And in 2 years, he's like, "Yeah, my dad's got tickets to watch Newcastle against Kharkiv in Ukraine. We're going, yeah." And that night, I saw him at the retail park. So you're in my local branch of Sports Direct. You liar.
It's a great name for it. It's a great name for a band. I always thought as well, Metalist Kharkiv.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Yeah,
sort of like you don't get many football teams that also could sound like a festival, a goth festival.
Oh, yeah, no, Kharkiv were good back in the day. They're proper that shitty Europa League logo before they sort of made it what it is now.
Exactly
it's
what you mean.
like
Yeah,
orangey, and sort of like maroon. That's the Metalist. The day when they had like Tyson and these random like Brazilian / Argentinian
money laundering schemes, yeah,
came out of nowhere. But yeah, no, good stuff.
Like, yeah, because you'd always get you get some Brazilian from Alexandria going for 42 million. Like,
yeah.
What's going on here?
What's happening there? If we're okay to move on to the national team with the international break upon us, how do you feel about Ukraine in the Nations League? Obviously, 2 games, 2 losses. Playing Ukraine this Friday. Obviously, by the time this goes out, we'll have known the result. But you've got rid of
Georgia,
Ukraine.
by the way.
Yeah. Playing intra-team friendly.
Sorry, apologies. I was too busy staring at the fixture list, but apologies. Ukraine against Ukraine.
I'm gonna go for a draw.
Ukraine against Georgia this Friday, and then you've got Czechia on Monday. How do you feel going into those 2?
To be honest, it's not been good ever since that Romania game, James. So
yeah, it's your fault.
So it's always me. It's always me.
It's ever since that, people slightly disappointed with how we've gone. I did write an article, "Is this the Ukrainian golden generation?" before that tournament, and it's me off in the face. Yeah, complete I don't know, blasphemy for that 2006 team, in all
Yeah.
honesty. But it's not been great. Like that starts the Nations League in particular. I think a lot of people were thinking, all right, Georgia are good. So like this whole group is actually like full of 2024 teams that have qualified. So like not utter crud or anything like that. And then I don't know, just the players just look kind of scared on the ball, not really wanting to, I don't know, there just doesn't seem like to be like a concerted effort to win, or like when they do concede, it's like they just shit their pants and that's it. But luckily, well, you could say luckily, other people are saying it's not. Luckily, this window, we've got about 8 or 9 injuries. And as a result of that, it's kind of forced Rebrov to call up players that he'd never calling up. As a result, quite conservative in those picks that he keeps on calling up the same player. So now we've got a chance to see random people like play for like Policia, Alexandria. We've got a player that's just been called up literally in the past few days who played for Kerala Blasters in India.
Fucking come on. I've got a Kerala Blasters jacket.
Yes. So like 2 seasons ago he was playing in India, and now he's playing for Alexandria now, but he's got a call up. So it's like I can't wait because I'm going to both games. Hopefully he gets his debut because he's one of these guys that scores just thunder bastards of goals. Literally like 40-yard screamers whenever that ends up coming.
Proper throwback of there's none of them players anymore. Like James, he did the he did Rockenback either today or yesterday or whenever it was for the asking the missus does she remember. Fabio Rockenback was overweight, could barely run, but fucking 40 yards, bang, straight in.
So this guy, even funnier, is that there's like a kind of a Ukrainian footballing community on Twitter that's been there for a while. A lot of people that live like in America, Canada, and all that kind of thing, and they actually decided because like obviously Indian fans love sort of getting on the hype of transfers and all that kind of thing, and Kerala Blasters fans are in particular, akin to and Fenerbahce fans when it comes on social media. And it was before this move actually happened. Someone just made up a fake rumor saying that in Ukrainian media they're linking this one Ukrainian player Shabanov to Kerala Blasters just completely randomly, and media completely lapped it up for like a few weeks, and like people were like, loads of fans were DMing me saying, "Is this true?" And then literally like the next year, bloody Kaluzhny ended up there, and everyone's like,
wow.
"What on earth?" So nuts, to be honest. But I just think that's what you want from a national team. A guy that's actually like you can tell that he wants to be there. He's not sort of like.
I wonder.
Comfortable. I'm gonna get called up regardless of how shit or good I play. Get more of them in my opinion, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, because there always seems to be like sort of your Samuel Eto'os and stuff. Like when you've got like sort of much better players in a national team where it's not like balanced. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like where there's like a few like elite players and the rest are playing for like Alexandria or Vodska Polsalva or something like that. And they've got like there's always like disputes about pay, and then if they get subbed, they're always cunts, aren't they? And stuff like that. So yeah, you want more Zorya Luhansk players. That's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree, because literally Rebrov's only been calling up the likes of, I don't know, Dynamo and players, for the year plus that he's been in. And I mean, well, that didn't do much during the fucking Euros. So bloody get the Alexandria Police lot in and see what they can fucking do.
Well, maybe you may have learned a thing or two at Kerala Blasters from the old Michael Chopra.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What a player he was back in day.
There's one of my like players you fall in love with via Football Manager and FIFA. One of mine from FIFA 12 or 13, a lad called Dimitris Diamantakos, a Greek striker, if you couldn't tell. Um, he's played for Kerala Blasters, and like it's obviously think of it as like, oh, it's like not it's like a rinky dink team or whatever, and then like there's
It's
this.
not, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked at his Instagram. He's like 1.8 million followers, and then like he left, and he's like, I think he's like either the club record goal scorer or he's up there because he was there for about 6 or 7 years, and they've got like a fucking full stand tifo of him, like thank you for the whatever. It's like fuck me, right? You just don't realize how big some of these like obviously because it's sort of emerging and that, but over time like obviously places like maybe not in China now because they did they spent all the money and then could thought better of it. But like the leagues like India, obviously they're going to get, especially as like the Premier League becomes more and more sort of well now that City have got off with the most obvious corruption of all time, sort of nailed on for the next 10 years. Like I think you've got like places like that are going to just go, not like maybe not compete, but obviously with the amount of people, the amount of support that the clubs get.
Mm. Yeah, they get packed stadiums and stuff, and like literally, like Kaluzhny, he's on like almost 200K followers, and like I said, this guy plays for Alexandria now. Like, no one,
Yeah,
even before he moved to Kerala Blasters, really knew him, kind of
yeah,
thing. Um, you get these like absolute crazy, the crazy followings because obviously India's so bloody big.
yeah. So yeah, he's probably not getting the wages aren't that good, but the Instagram opportunities
Mm.
are are numerous.
Like Jason Punch in Cyprus now. There could be a tifo of him.
I think Cyprus and India's population not quite comparable, but he's playing in the second division as well. Just wanting to
Yeah,
keep playing.
yeah. There's no tifos there, is there?
No, no. There's probably not any fans. Like kiss on, I guess.
Oh, bloody hell. Um, if obviously there's been we don't have to constrain it just to the Premier League.
Well, we've just done 10 minutes on the Indian Premier League, so.
Oh no, sorry. This leads into what I'm about to say. FC Goa, what are your thoughts? Fun fact about Alano though, he assaulted the owner of FC Goa after they won the league, I think. Anyway, sorry, I'm shit.
No, that's it. That's in my research for tomorrow's Man City one, mate. So yeah,
Right.
there you go. Well, that's what I knew that as well.
Little peek behind the curtain there. If you had to pick like a kind of let's do like a five-a-side of your top five Ukraine players, Andrew. Who you going for? Goalie to forward. You can whatever formation. If you wanted four defenders, you can have four defenders. Whatever you want.
So goalie, I think maybe this isn't like my all time, but just with the vibe of this podcast, I think we've got to go for Pyatov.
Yeah.
Pyatov. I think the Ukraine are definitely like because I don't. I think it's the World Cup 2000. You always remember your first World Cup.
And only.
I was like obviously I was conscious for O2. I vaguely remember
Yes.
Having my heart broken by Roy Keane leaving Saipan. Wrote a song about it. But the one I remember properly like in full was 06. And of the two teams I remember from that the most, Switzerland, the only team that got knocked out without conceding a goal by Ukraine, and Ukraine.
Yeah. No, yeah. So that World Cup squad, but he's still very young. It was Shrubkovsky, obviously the legend that he is. That was, I think, until Bono or whatever his name is from Morocco was the only goalkeeper that had never conceded a penalty in a shootout at a World Cup.
Huh?
And it was that terrible game against Switzerland, 0-0, that just went on forever. I was actually allowed off school by my mum. Ukraine-Spain game, which was, I think, was the opening group stage match. It was on at like 1 p.m. in the afternoon or something. Got battered 4-0.
Wishing you had gone to the dentist instead.
Yeah, exactly. That was bad memories, but yeah, definitely. I think Piatov's got to go in there for whatever reason. Just my formative years, proper, like following the team closely. Had some real stinkers, but sometimes had absolute worldies.
Was he like 40 in that World Cup, or am I getting that wrong? Is it always that later on?
Who? Shavkovsky?
No,
Piatov?
Piatov.
No, Piatov actually was like 19 back then.
Yeah.
Oh no, who's the one I'm thinking? Who's the one I'm thinking? Keeper for you? It might be Piatov. There was a player. I'm sure it was a goalkeeper for Ukraine who was playing at like 42. Before like Trubin. Before Trubin was number one.
Oh, that was Piatov. Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, same player, just wrong time. Totally. There you go.
Yeah. So it's obviously Piatov with the iconic with the little sort of island in his head.
Yeah.
And the old. Yeah, he's still knocking about. I think retired from football, but I think he's a coach at Shakhtar now. But get him in there just for the unpredictability of either being completely shit or world class, but you can never tell. Yeah. Defense, I think I'm going to have to go for Ilya Zabani. Genuinely one of, I think, our best players ever in terms of defenders, just because made his debut aged 18. You can tell he's got a brain. He's not like as in terms of intellectuality outside of football or anything like that. He's got some brain cells, which is always positive. And I think that he probably will get a big move somewhere.
Yeah, he's too like, he shouldn't be playing for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, he's got good things coming for him.
He's got a first name and a surname as well, which means he shouldn't be playing for Bournemouth.
Yeah, and he's not like Cook or bloody Andrews or anything.
Just proper You don't get regens called Ilya Zabani. You get regens called Lewis Cook, Tim Stevens, and fucking whatever else their players are called.
So yeah, we'll have one defender in this 5-side.
Sorry, mate. Just as you said that, I would be remiss because you've reminded me. I was gonna wait to see if you mentioned him. Shigrinsky. Now,
he is iconic.
What could have been?
Could have been. Yeah, he was. Well, he went to Barcelona. Was the shittest player ever, and fucked off after one season with Pep.
A name with like 13 letters in it and no vowels. What more do you want?
Absolutely brilliant. And he looked like Jesus as well.
Exactly.
So like he was memorable, but nowhere near. One player though, just for I think a memorable one. Maybe not the all time, but he was absolutely unbelievable at set pieces. Alexander Aliev. He used to play for Dynamo Kiev, and if you type in it on YouTube, you will see him score from like 50 yards out, like free kicks, and they're like 100 mile per hour, just like top bins. Maybe I think he only scored like 3 in total, in his career or whatever. But then he went on to become a problem drinker after he retired, and he had a good partnership with another player who had kind of unfulfilled potential, and who was linked to the Premier League as well back in the day. And it's iconic from the old 2006 Switzerland game, Artem Milevsky. He was Dynamo Kiev's centre forward, scored a Panenka in that Switzerland penalty shootout, and then instead of moving to Stoke, who were after him, I think in the late 2010s, he ended up going to places like some outskirts of Russia team. I think he played maybe in Kazakhstan. I'm not 100% sure, but he definitely played in Dynamo Brest in Belarus. And just some other random
Just
sites. Then he ended
proper journeyman stuff.
Yeah, but he was like back in 2006 when he was like 19, 20. He was seen as one of the best Ukrainian players ever. That he was going to become one. Didn't turn out. Then there's like photos and stuff of him like sitting on the curbside whilst his Ferrari was just completely mangled and destroyed. And then he became a proper alcoholic afterwards. Apparently almost died a couple of years ago. Now he's completely sober, but he's sort of friends with a dodgy guy who's known for match fixing. That guy. And he does Twitch streams every day. So, really? Character nonetheless, but he's not making it. We'll keep Aliev in there just because he was good at set pieces.
Just trying to think of a 40-year-old footballer saying chat. Saying chat over and over and over again.
But that, and then Yarmo, for me, is my favourite Ukraine player of all time. Just because, I don't know, met him a few times and all that kind of thing, and
wow,
knows me-ish kind of thing. So fault him for that. And basically, quick story, because of the Soviet Union and all that kind of thing, after Ukraine became independent, the majority of sport until 2022, the lingua franca was Russian. So everyone spoke Russian. Lots of people across Ukraine also spoke Russian as well. But that changed pretty significantly after 2022 because Russia's obviously killing us. So a lot of people switched to actively speaking in Ukrainian. And because from where my side of the family's from, in Western Ukraine, I've always sort of spoken or known Ukrainian only. And so I can only speak Ukrainian. I can understand Russian and all that kind of thing. But when I sort of started going to like press conferences and all that kind of thing a few years ago, I was speaking in Ukrainian. And because like Yarmolenko, I think I've got quite a bad accent in terms of you can tell that I'm not from Ukraine when I'm speaking. Like into speaking in Ukrainian. And then he was like, "Oh, this is like the first ever interview I've ever done." Ukrainian. And then after that, him and the manager and the players started speaking in Ukrainian exclusively during like media and interviews and all that kind of shit.
Wow.
So and then so little bit of catalyst, but yeah, I like Yarmo. I agree that when the time leave the team before the national team leaves you is a very real thing, and he got two really bad ACL injuries at West Ham, and he's never been the same since. Like in terms of being able to run physically, he's got the quality, but he just can't do it because he can't physically move. So hopefully he will retire at some point. So it's a shame because he's only 2 goals off matching Shevchenko's all-time record for Ukraine.
Wow.
But never.
That calls for a friendly against Gibraltar.
Exactly. Bring him back next year when we get San Marino and World Cup qualified for both fixtures.
Am I right? Am I right in thinking he was like? I remember him being linked with Everton for ages. Like he was
every summer.
Yeah.
Like, for whatever reason, the way that Ukrainian football is, you always have the owners who want like 70 million for their players, and no one's willing to pay that. So they end up leaving at the right time / when they're just about past it. And like, you know, Yarmolenko ended up going to Borussia Dortmund when they were like their worst ever season, when they were like had to like Paco Alcácer up top and other random players. Fucking, he scored against Spurs at Wembley, like, you know, classic Yarmolenko top bins from, you know, cutting in, and then he went to West Ham, and I mean that was fun, but and he had some great moments there, per se, like famous goals, but never really, I think, hit the heights that he probably should have. Same with Konoplyanka. I think Konoplyanka even had a worse career in terms of unfulfilled potential, because he was linked with Liverpool for those few years, then ended up sort of going to Sevilla randomly, and it never really hit off, and he just ended up being a bit shit until he
was one of them
he
like
retired.
Big potential, like just didn't make a move soon enough, wasn't it? And then
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then so how many players is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
that's
And
four.
then I think up top, I love Sheva, but I just think that's just too cliche.
Right.
So we're not having Sheva just on the basis of that. He's probably in the majority of people's. So I'll go with Rebrov. He's kind of the unsung of that partnership in the late 90s. He scored a fair few himself, and did a lot of work behind the scenes, and sort of that duo. Played for Spurs, wasn't the best there. I think Ukrainian in Championship ever when he played for West Ham. And he even used to wear like an orange wristband for the Orange Revolution back in 2004, in support of that. And yeah, now he's manager. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he gets along with that in the long term. But I think it's got to be Pyatov, Zabani, Aliev, Yarmolenko, Rebrov up top.
I think if those 5 turned up to your local power league,
they do a bit of damage. Yeah,
you fucked out. Yeah,
yeah. You'd volunteer to wear the bibs.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Oh, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. This has been
last mate.
Yeah, especially that Yarmolenko story. That's absolutely fantastic. What a wonderful episode. Where can people find you, mate?
Yeah, so Londonsk on Twitter, Instagram.
Sorry, Andrew, you cut off a bit there. No. Just get you say that again with your big plug. Don't want to miss that.
Yeah, so you can find me Zorya Londonsk on X, Twitter, Instagram, and also any podcast providers, Ukraine plus football, where we do like monthly podcasts about that's going on. Ukraine and the beautiful game over there.
Thank you, mate. It was a lovely episode, mate. Thank you for coming on. You can follow us, James. Where can people follow us?
Oh, you can follow us on all social media platforms at the Cultras Pod. And if you've enjoyed this episode and you thought, I would love to have listened to this earlier, well, you can, because if you sign up to our Patreon for £1, a humble £1, you can get this episode 48 hours early, and you can get in there before anyone else and say, I was there listening to the chat before it came out for general release. So,
that's Culture_Ultras, because Patreon keeps closing our account when we put cult in the name.
Because it thinks we are like Manson. Thinks we're going to let everyone drink from the Kool-Aid, but we're not. We want you to come and join the come and join the family. That sounds horrible, that, doesn't it? Come and join the family. Come and join us, and you can
join us on our quest to go to Mars. Bye.
Yeah. Join us on our
Heaven's Gate suicide pact, whatever. Yeah.
Join it wouldn't. You know what? It wouldn't be. You're not the first person to witness this, Andrew. It wouldn't be an ending of our podcast without it being heavily derailed. Yeah, follow us at Cultras Pod on all social media platforms. Sign up to the Patreon. Tell your friends. Vote for us as well. We've been nominated for an award at the Football Content Awards in November for best new content.
Now, James. Anyway, we fucked this up. So, but yeah, we've said goodbye for the past 10 minutes.
Before we say goodbye, we can't put the phone down. We'd be remiss to put the phone down unless you.
Bye. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah.
We've got heavy competition, but if you do want to vote for us, you can do. And yeah, you can catch us next week for another episode. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.